Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahawashi, Bahasham, Barakahakwadash, Barakathum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. In peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure unto the end. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson, and I'll be profiling this clip from Tom Powell Jr.'s YouTube channel titled White Replacement Panic Exposed, the lie behind the white race is going extinct. And you know what? There's no such thing as white people, black people, yellow people, etc., etc. You know, according to the scriptures, everybody has their biblical identity. And these so-called white people are actually, you know, not only are they not the literal color white, they are red, and they are the biblical Edomites. And, you know, there will come a time where the Edomite race will cease to exist. And, you know, we're in the times right now where Esau Edom is feeling the pressure. He's losing his rulership. His birth rates are declining. You know, he's about to be taken out of power. So, you know, you're going to continue to see these Edomites wild out like this until, you know, they're in the kingdom of heaven, you know, as slaves, you know, building it up for the first 1,000 years. And then all their fears, you know, hey, they're going to come true during the kingdom and especially at the end of it. But this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes.
I've never seen a group of people more petrified of being a minority in anywhere or anything than my people, white people. And I don't understand it.
And I'll say this, just keep in mind how he, you know, refers to himself as a, you know, so-called white person come into play later. But hey, according to the scriptures, the Edomites are actually the global minority, contrary of what they like to say. And in the United States of America, these Edomites are actually seeing a negative, you know, birth rate. And then in other places they dwell, like in Europe, you know, what have you, you know, they're seeing declining birth rates as well. But this brings us to Obadiah, which is just one chapter, and I'm going to jump straight to verse 2. And you see the header says, Edom will be humbled. This entire book is dedicated to the judgment and the downfall of you Edomites. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. And this goes into a few things. On the one hand, your reputation being made small on the global stage, especially you Edomites in the so-called Western world. You know, people are seeing, you know, all your policies and the ways you've been moving throughout history as a root cause of a lot of the problems we see right now. And on the other hand, you know, you're small demographically, the global minority. Hence why you've got all these fears amongst Edomites of, you know, so-called white replacement theory or the Edomite race going extinct.
Watch this.
You know what, Sarah Elizabeth? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, because we don't have to play games with you. We don't have to beat around the bush. You're just telling us like it is. You are a white supremacist and a Nazi.
And, you know, as the header reads on that, you know, I guess it's a TikTok clip. I have 6 kids, 7 years old and under, trying to help our minority race from going extinct. I made thee small amongst the heathen. Thou art greatly despised.
Who is openly speaking about eugenics and the need for you to have 6, I guess not children, but repopulation efforts because you're worried about the white race going extinct. I appreciate that openness. I appreciate that willingness to be transparent, because at least I know I don't even have to waste my time talking to you or any of your repopulation efforts or your husband or whoever. You know, I just wish that our politicians would behave in the same way, because we're still playing this ridiculous game of volleyball that never ends of like, you're a racist. No, I'm not. I have a black friend. Like, you know what I mean? It's like back and forth and back and forth. And it's ridiculous. So, you know what? If you are a Trump supporter, if you think what's going on in this country where people are kidnapping children and then sending them out to another state, never to see their parents again, is a good thing. If you are good with people being pew-pewed in the middle of your street, just be more like Sarah Elizabeth. You know, the girl is unafraid to say exactly what she is. A Nazi.
And hey, what's funny about that is, I've seen it. And, as you see from that clip, you have a lot of Edomites out here having, multiple kids, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually saw somebody, that I went to high school with just have another, child. And, she's at about 4 Edomite looking kids, right now. But a lot of, you're having a lot of Edomites having multiple kids, because a lot of those kids are going to be judged during the time of Jacob's trouble, the Lord bringing these souls back for judgment, which brings us to Job chapter 27, verses 13 to 14. This is the portion of a wicked man with the Most High, and you Edomites are the wicked in the scriptures. The border of wickedness in Malachi 1 verse 4, the wicked whom the earth has been given into the hands of in Job 9 verse 24, and the heritage of oppressors, which they shall receive of the Almighty. Here's the point. If his children be multiplied, as Sarah the Edomite posted on TikTok, I have 6 kids helping my race from going extinct. It is for the sword, and his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. So like I just said, you got Edomite families here and there having multiple kids, just so that's multiple more Edomites coming back to get judged horrifically during Jacob's trouble, and then coming back in the kingdom of heaven to serve that slavery.
Yeah, I mean, at least she's open about it, but ew. The white race isn't going anywhere, folks.
Which, hey, like that meme of that Edomite guy where he's saying, you sure about that? You sure about that? Which we'll see what the rebuttal to his statement was later on in this video, according to prophecy.
Humanity, our species, is getting browner. And it will continue to get browner. But there...
Hey, the ship is just course correcting itself, because having so-called white, really red skin is biblical leprosy. Just read the book of Leviticus chapter 13. When you see people with vitiligo, where they have it's a darker skinned person with splotches of red skin around them, that's an unclean leper. But somebody who's red all around, that's considered a clean leper, which is what you Edomites are.
There will always be pockets of people like you that feel this need to preserve some whiteness out there, just like there are going to be black people that feel some need to preserve some blackness, or people from this ethnic group or that ethnic group that are going to feel the need to preserve it. But as a species, we are all getting a little bit more down the line of the middle of the color spectrum than on either of the far sides. I've had people tell me things like, when I talk about race relations, I've had people...
Now, listen closely to what he's about to say, and I'll say this, we're the Hebrew Israelites, not the black Hebrew Israelites, as the mainstream would like to label us as, because you do have the so-called, Negroes, so-called black, so-called African American, which were not African, which is what is the Southern Kingdom. But you've also got the Northern Kingdom the so-called Latinos and Native Americans. And then within that, you've got the Israelite foreigners who through the curses and being scattered to the four corners of the earth and living amongst the heathen nations and, breeding with them, have come to look like those heathen nations. So you do have Israelites out here that look like Tom Powell Jr., just as you have Edomites out here that look like so-called black people, that may look like that coon Jesse Lee Peterson. So this is not a color-based thing, but we do bring out color for truth's sake, because the image of the Heavenly Father and his Son is that of so-called dark-skinned Negroes with white woolly beards and afros. The angels have the same Negroid appearance. You have the Israelites, but again, you have the Israelite foreigners who, if their line through their father's side goes back to one of the 12 tribes, they're an Israelite, regardless of what they look like. And the same with the heathens. You may look like a so-called black person, so-called Asian person or whatever, but if your line doesn't go back to that, what you look like, but to another nation, you're the nation of that person.
What does it feel like to be a traitor to your race? What race would that be? Well, you're white. Okay. But what race would that be? See, I'm white, but I'm also 27% Sicilian.
Oh, 27% Sicilian. Question is, on his father or on his mother's side? And a lot of those Sicilians, a lot of those Italians with those swarthy features go back to the 12 tribes of Israel. Same thing with the Irish, the Scottish, a lot of Filipinos. So again, this isn't a color-based thing, but let's listen further.
According to my DNA results, I have a shit ton of bloodlines from Scotland and the
Scotland, which Scotland literally means black land. So there's a very good chance that Tom Powell Jr. here could be an Israelite, and with the lineages he's mentioned, more likely than not of the Southern Kingdom, the Negro side, Judah, Benjamin, or Levi. And if you look at his features, he got a pretty bulbous nose, and he got a beard on his face. Again, this isn't a color-based thing. We go by the spirit.
The UK generally. But yeah, I'm also 27% Sicilian. Do you know the history of Sicily? I mean, if you knew the history of Sicily and you knew that I was 27% Sicilian, would you still put me in a classification as white? I mean, that's how I...
And what he's referring to is the Moors, who occupied Sicily, occupied Spain, Italy, a lot of places in Europe. And the Moors, so-called black men, and they slept with a lot of those so-called European, Edomite women. As that famous scene from that movie True Romance said, the Moors did so much fucking to those Italian women that blonde hair and blue eyes became black hair, brown eyes, that brown, swarthy complexion.
Classify myself because that's how I present. That's what are you? I'm fucking white. But you're trying to preserve some white bloodline. You want to know what you're trying to preserve? The visuals of whiteness. Now, how many people on this planet are purely back to just this one line anymore? Okay, so you knocked out a shit ton of kids that are all white because you want to preserve the white race, and you think none of them are going to go off and have a partner that's not pure white? Nobody in that group's going to have a Hispanic or a Latino or an Asian or an African American partner? Nobody?
And let's say those children did do that. The children Say it's a Edomite son she had that got with a so-called Hispanic woman or a so-called black woman. The child comes out, may come out looking like a so-called Latino or so-called black, but that line still goes back to Esau.
Maybe not. Who knows?
Hey, look at Jeb Bush, George W. Bush's brother. He married a Northern Kingdom woman. And when you look at his son looks like a so-called Latino, but he's a full Edomite.
Then again, maybe. The white race is going extinct. No, it's not. You're fucking paranoid over nothing. Or is it that you're paranoid that you're going to be a minority and then people are going to treat you the way you treated them when they were the minority? Is that it?
Hey, hit the nail on the head. And that's exactly what's about to take place when you Edomites are taken out of power. That's it with that video. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 16. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity. And this is speaking of the heathen nations that came against the children of Israel, your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And you can read of that table of nations in Psalms chapter 83. And at the top of that list are you Edomites, which we can clearly see the history between the Edomites and the Israelites has been nothing but great robbery, murder, bloodshed. Hence why, you Edomites are afraid of becoming the minority, which you already are, because you know in your spirit that you deserve that recompense, and a recompense is coming, which is what we're reading about. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. You took us, kidnapped us, put us into slavery, made us the bottom of society. So that very same energy is about to turn right back around on you. This is Revelation chapter 13. I'm going to read verses 9 to 10. And this is in the last book of the New Testament. Because you have, you wacky-tacky Christians out there that like to say, oh, that's the Old Testament. God has changed. God and Jesus love everybody, which is clearly not the case. Hey, as it says in Malachi, the Lord changes not. And as it says about Yahushua, the same today, yesterday, etc., etc. And when you read in Revelation chapter 2, it says that Yahushua is going to rule over these heathens with rigor, and that his men, his 144,000, are going to be joint heirs with him, with those rod of irons, breaking you to pieces like a potsherd. But this is Revelation chapter 13, verses 9 to 10. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity, the transatlantic slave trade, colonization, shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword, lynchings, race wars, police brutality, the prison industrial complex, must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And the saints are patiently waiting for these things to come to pass, which we can clearly see is coming to pass. We are at the end of Esau, Edom, and these heathens as a whole's rulership. Now I'm going to jump down to, this is Revelation chapter 18. I'm going to start at verse 1 and jump around a bit. And the header reads, Babylon is fallen. And this is talking about the virgin daughter of Babylon, Babylon the Great, which is one of the names for the United States of America in the scriptures. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Because during World War III, America's going to get hit by nuclear missiles and turned into the biblical lake of fire, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards, where after a time, as it said, it's going to be the habitation of devils and every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Only harsh desert creatures are going to be able to dwell here. But now I'm going to jump down to verse 6. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. So when you Edomites are in slavery in the kingdom of heaven, what you did unto us is going to be double unto you. We've been in your hands for about 500 years or so, and in the kingdom, you're going to be in our hands for 1,000 years. And the slavery you're about to go under is going to make our slavery, which was the worst in human history. As it says in the book of Daniels, what has been done unto Israel has not been done unto any other nation. Your slavery is going to make ours look like a day on Sesame Street, and you're about to drink of that cup of slavery. Hence, why all this talk of white extinction and, so-called white replacement theory. But, the thing is we're going to rule over you in rigor and righteousness. There's going to be no buck breaking, no taking a man's wife while he's still alive or anything like that. It's all going to be by the law. That's going to be even harder for you because you Edomites are wicked. You were made contrary to the righteousness of the law, statutes, and commandments. So you're going to be forced to follow after it. But now I'm going to jump to Lamentations chapter 4, verse 21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. And you Edomites, hey, you should be living it up right now, maxing out your credit cards, doing as much dope and cocaine as you can do, getting as many dogs as you want. Just live like you're dying, because once you're taken out of power, you're never coming back into power, and double is going to be done unto you as was done unto us. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken. Thou shalt make thyself naked. And that cup of slavery is about to be passed unto you, and you're going to have to drink it down to the dregs. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion, the Israelites, which we are just about at the end of our captivity. We just got to go through Jacob's trouble and then kingdom of heaven. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. And then after that first 1,000 years, hey, that's going to be all she wrote for the nation of Esau, Edom. Because remember what Mr. Powell was saying throughout the video, the so-called white race isn't going anywhere. Well, the Edomite race is definitely going somewhere, and it's going into utter perdition. This is Isaiah chapter 14. I'm going to read verses 21 to 23. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers. Oh, that wasn't me. That was my forefathers that did that. That was hundreds of years ago. Just get over it. Well, another thing, reincarnation is biblical, and those spirits from the past have come back, So, you are your forefathers in the reincarnation, just as we are our forefathers in the reincarnation. So we went through slavery in the past, you oppressed us, and we're back here today with everybody about to receive their judgment. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against them, saith Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon, Babylon the Great, the name and remnant and son and nephew, saith Yahweh. And those are all what? Males, where your line comes through. If you cut off all the males of a nation and then sleep with their women, the children that come forth are going to be from the seed of the man. It doesn't matter what nation the woman is. So what it's saying is that there's going to come a time when the entire nation of Esau, Edom is going to be cut off permanently. Verse 23, I will also make it a possession for the bittern and pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith Yahweh of hosts. And this is reiterating Revelation chapter 18, America getting hit by nuclear fire, that besom of destruction, and then becoming a possession for the bittern and pools of water, that desolate desert wasteland with those harsh desert creatures in it. But now, let's go back to the book of Obadiah and jump down to verse 15. And the header reads, "The day of the Lord and the future things which must shortly come to pass," which is what the saints are patiently and faithfully waiting for. "For the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. They that made thee a spoil shall be a spoil. They that put thee in captivity shall go into captivity. They that made thee a prey shall be made a prey. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain," abusing, putting into slavery, oppressing the children of Israel, "so shall all the heathen drink continually, that cup being passed unto them, and drinking it down to the dregs. Yeah, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been." No more history of the heathens. When you're in the kingdom of heaven, during that first 1,000 years, you're going to build it up under slavery. And then after that 1,000 years, you're going to go back to your lands and just be a human on the earth. The only history, the only kingdom, the only people that are going to matter are going to be the eternal rulers, the children of Israel. But, hey, you're going to love it, because this earth is finally going to be governed in righteousness. As it says in Proverbs 29, verse 2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. No more PDF files or Epstein's. No more pollution in the ocean, GMOs, chemtrails, feminism, demonocracy, alphabet, lifestyles being openly pushed, all that being a thing of the past. Verse 17, "But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions." We're going to get, for one, the Israelites are going to be in control of the planet and all the resources of it. As it says in 2nd Esdras chapter 6, everything was made for our sakes. That includes you. And, we're going to get the first fruits of everything you have. The first fruits of your gold and silver, your other natural resources, your daughters, all those things. Verse 18, "But for the nation of Esau, Edom, after that first 1,000 years, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, the southern kingdom, so-called Negroes, and the house of Joseph, a flame, the northern kingdom, the so-called Latinos and Native Americans, all 12 tribes back together in unity, ruling in the kingdom of heaven," which goes to show you that those people over there right now aren't the children of the Most High. They're Edomites themselves, of the tribe of Amalek. And all that they can tell you about is the tribe of Levi and the tribe of Judah. Whereas the other, 10 tribes, hell, where's the northern kingdom? "And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. And they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, son, remnant, nephew, father, brother, for Yahweh has spoken it." So after that first 1,000 years, every single Edomite, man, woman, child, young and old, is going to be gathered up and burned in that Basra bonfire. And that's going to be all she wrote for the nation of Esau, Edom. But that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere, Akim and Akwath, were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.